Awesome. Good morning and happy Friday, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this call. Welcome to the Producers Club with our special guest today, Mr. Jason DuFault. Welcome, Jason.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let me let somebody in. There we go. So Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your relationship with real estate? Tell us a little bit about your team. Give us some background on you.
Well, I found real estate through several other different careers, and fell in love with real estate, and got my first shot at it back in the early '90s, and kind of fell in love with that late '90s, excuse me, and then got in the mortgage business, and after that kind of failed in the subprime era, I got into real estate, and found it was the only thing that I understood without studying. So I figured that was the thing I should probably do. And I've been doing it ever since. And, by the grace of God, I'm still here doing it.
You're a commercial agent.
Yeah, I'm a commercial agent here in Long Beach. I'm the managing director and regional ambassador for Keller Williams Coastal for all the offices here, and kind of the liaison between Keller Williams International Commercial and all the neat stuff that they're doing to make 2023 quite a year for us.
That's awesome. And we're going to ask you a couple more questions about that in a minute. But Jason, did you start in commercial? Like, what did that look like? How did you decide what that shift and change was going to look like for you in your business?
Well, I'd always taken on multifamily during my residential beginnings, and I just couldn't compete as well with residential agents. Some of the best resis I had ever seen, I just couldn't do what they were doing. I tried to do the volume that they did, and I had this little niche. I could do multifamily. I understood investment real estate, and I've been an investor through my first marriage, and so we had kind of done that and learned that. So I decided a couple of years back, talked to leadership and said, I want to do commercial real estate. This is how many doors I've done. This is what I've got, and I can do a really good job. And 5 years later, I've increased my volume and done a great job and leadership role, and I finally found what I love to do. That's probably the kicker, right?
I think finding what you love to do is so important because it keeps us getting out of bed every day. It
Right.
keeps that motivation through the tough times. Obviously we're seeing this market shift, and change almost, monthly, weekly at this point. What does the conversations look like that you're having right now with your clients in regards to the market? Where do you see it going?
The conversations we're having are probably very similar to the residential side. The owners of real estate are still in the dream world about how expensive they think that their assets are worth. In commercial real estate, it's a huge conversation about financing, because financing commercial real estate is short term. So there's a finite amount of time at which you'll have these low rates at which you finance your assets. So there's a huge conversation about where we're going to move assets to trade them, and what does that look like? And talking to investors about, that the sellers are definitely still not there reducing prices of their assets yet, but it's coming. But the conversations are very similar. We just use different words to address the same problem. And we're seeing a lot of distressed properties in healthcare, and we're seeing a lot of office space becoming available right now. To Monday, nobody goes to the office. Tuesday, Wednesday it peaks. Thursday it falls, and nobody's in on Friday for some of these large, 200,000 square foot office buildings. So that's a bit of a concern right now.
I can see how scheduling and contacting and just even getting access to these properties can be maybe not as easy during this shift.
Yeah, getting access to them. If you've got somebody who wants to fill the space, lease, buy, invest, that's not as difficult. But getting access to distressed properties and access to the banks and start having the short sale discussions on debt and financing, That's difficult because there's a lot of equity out there, and the banks aren't really ready to start cutting um, their debt equity, except for in healthcare. Healthcare, we're seeing about a reduction of about 50 cents on the dollar in debt on
Hmm.
negotiations for short sales.
Wow. I mean, that's a big change. So how
Hmm.
does your business model change? What does your business model even look like right now?
Well, interesting enough, most of our business comes from referrals, but our business model going for 2023 is going to be actually going to the banks and the capital markets, the 1031 exchange professionals, and finding out what they need, what they see in their portfolios, who's falling out of escrow. So we're going to be hitting a lot of escrow companies to find out where there's pockets of people falling out of escrow where someone needs an investor. Where the 1031 guys, we want to address those services because we want to make sure that, if there's an exchange that goes bad, or there's an exchange coming up and someone's scrounging for something to buy in exchange, that we're there to be of service. So we're going to be hitting up capital markets because we know in certain areas, certain real estate trusts, certain Delaware statutory trust groups will have product for us to buy at a discount. And it's just a matter of having those phone calls. Of course, we market to ownership as well in industry, industrial, multifamily, and medical buildings.
So you touched a little bit about, referrals and lead generation. I know that you guys have very specific methods of lead generation. Do you mind kind of elaborating and sharing what you guys do?
Yeah, so we collect data and trend and look at the trend of where the market's headed. That's how we know about what's going on in healthcare. That's how we know about what's going on in each one of the asset classes. So we mine that data in a couple different application software programs to get the contact information, to have those conversations with our clientele and introduce ourselves to whether that be the capital markets, the ownership, attorneys, CPAs, about what we offer. And we have a little bit of a niche because of my financial background. So we can offer a little bit more scope into negotiating with banks directly. I'm a direct listing agent for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So we have access to that as well in the commercial area. And that seems to look like 23, 24 will have a lot more product for us to go after.
And you guys make a lot of calls.
We do. We probably on a minimum day, at least 50 calls. And then, on really days where we don't have any problems, which is rare with current escrows and so forth, we can get up to 100. But I have to say that a lot of our communication and calls, I have to say, we do specifically call it outbound marketing. So if I send an email and get a response from someone, I consider that a call in my database, because now I'm having a conversation with somebody that maybe I couldn't get on the phone, but I'm actually proactively trying to get in touch with them. So a text or an email or a phone call in my mind is equal to one phone call. Yeah, don't get me wrong. We're not always on the phone 100 phone calls a day. Sometimes it's email or text, and sometimes we exceed that amount.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So you, Jason, are someone, Gary Keller talks about being a value to our clients. Most importantly, being the local economist of choice, right? So being that resource for people in your sphere and around you. And I would definitely say that that's a strength of yours, particularly in the market. So what are some of the things that you do to really stay in tune with that and to become the local economist of choice for your clients?
It's all about education. It's about getting up early and reading all the information that comes across your desk that has nothing to do with transactions. So we look at different periodicals and art resources that have information. We do call into certain places to ask. We have different, actually, there's other brokers in the industry that have tremendous information we get from them as well. And then we just share information with the banks and capital markets that we work with to see where they're at, to ask them questions about weekly about where they're at. We fill ourselves with as much data as we can to make really smart decisions about who we're marketing. So we're real big on cold calling people, but not just a blank cold call. We know why we're calling you. We know that you own so much healthcare product. We know that you're in distress. We know your attorney. We know something about you. So when we call you, we're having a discussion of purpose, and we already think we can bring value. We just want to have that dialogue with you this morning in order to make that clear. And if we don't, it's okay too. Either way, we'll love on you. You know what I mean? That's the best part. We're not trying to just, hey, Halley, how are you doing this morning? Jason DuFault, the KW Commercial. Do you have anything you want to buy or sell? That's not good enough for us. And in this market, we're going to have to be specific and get to people and have a smart conversation and answer questions that they have about where we think we may be going.
I love the phrase you used, having a discussion of purpose, because it's, calling for calling's sake is not effective. It's honestly immeasurable, when you think about it and you're implementing those things. But when you're calling for a purpose, or you're calling for a reason specifically about that client, it just makes your time worth so much more while.
Yeah, and it's far more interesting. I mean, when you're prepared for what you're about to do, it's way more interesting. And I think that I forget who brought it up, but acting with curiosity. So when I call in, I'm all about the questions, because I don't know what you're doing today. I mean, I kind of know, but I really don't. And so being curious and asking questions and making sure that I'm not making too many statements is a really, it's a really good idea, and it's more effective, don't you think, Halley?
Good one. I love it. Thank you. I know that was a good point. So Jason, let's pretend that I'm a residential agent and I'm getting some commercial leads coming in and out. I wanted to start exploring commercial. Where do I even start?
Well, there's a couple different things we discuss, and if you're looking to get into commercial, I would say the KW Commercial more than ever has got a platform now that will allow you to train for $199 a month. You get involved in the community, and they have training available for you online, and that's the best place to start, just to get familiar with it. As it comes to transactions and doing business with us, there's 3 or different ways you can go about doing business with us. What we call mail-in money, where you get a referral fee for just giving us a phone number. It can be very lucrative for you, and you do nothing but give us a phone number and the contact. There's strategic partnerships, which start to include working with us on a particular deal that you want to be involved in. And then, of course, you can join our team, which is a whole different discussion. But there's 3 different avenues and choices for you. We find that most people think they want to get into commercial real estate, but don't want to give up their residential business. So if you don't want to give it up and you want to do the referral business and learn a little as you go, and over time learn, the referral business is the best way to go. It's just less time consuming for you, and you can focus on your business without losing, revenue dollars and net operating income for yourself.
Because even though there are very transferable skills, I mean, it really is a completely different skill set and vernacular that you use in commercial.
It is, and what I learned too is that it's so different that I've stopped paying attention to the residential market. But I couldn't do both. People say, do you do both? And yeah, do I have a referral comes in and we maybe list a residential home or what have you? But we don't even pay attention to that market anymore, because it takes all of our time to do this job, and we have to give it 100% of our attention, as well it should be. So it's a different world. And the expectations are different from your clients. The client expectation is so different. I welcome anybody to get on a call with me and talk to one of my clients or potential client or bank or an attorney, and what that conversation sounds like. It's way, way different.
Very much so. And I've heard a little bit about that. So you talked a little bit about time. Jason, I've known you now for what, almost 3 years, and I've gotten to know you well. And one of the things that you juggle very well is being also a family man and having this awesome killer business. What are some of the things that you do or use to help really keep that, keep that life that you guys are designing intact while also juggling such a wonderful growing business?
Well, I picked the right wife for sure because she's very supportive.
Mhm.
So I'm able to be here when, and she supports me. She's a teacher, but she's very supportive. Um, the flexibility of this job allows a lot of that because I don't work for anyone else. I mean, the only thing that I have to be in the office for is like an 8 o'clock Zoom, right? I mean, I can be here when I want. I can schedule what I need. If I want to be somewhere for my family, I can go do that. I can take the day off. Now I'm kind of a workaholic, so I have to teach myself how to take the day off, right? I'm a little bit hard on myself. I probably need to take more time for myself. That's probably my lesson in 23. A little more water, a little more workout, a little more time. But I think that the balance is always a challenge, and I don't have it mastered, but I do have a good support system, and I'm grateful for that.
You tell me a little bit about your phone that I've seen you pull out on multiple occasions that you've created when you take to lunch. Tell me about your.
So I've got this lunch phone that is calls only. I got it from another person, idea from another person, right? And so I forward my phone, my regular phone, to that phone when I go to lunch because I don't want to look at my emails. I don't want to look at anything that comes across my desk. I just want to go to lunch. And if anybody needs something from me that's that important, they'll call me. And so that phone just takes a flip phone. It just takes, that's all it does. It takes calls. And then when I come back, I turn it off and I'm all good to go. And it really is interesting because I do find myself at lunch looking around for my, like, what am I doing? And it's kind of nice just to relax and take that hour and have it. It's been fun. It was at first it was kind of a joke, but it's really been effective. So it's kind of fun.
I just had to bring that up because it's smart. It's taking things, you have a finite amount of time here at work, and then also your own personal time when you're at lunch, for example, or out with Ace, I'm sure, and pulling out that phone that only does the main function that you need for 30 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever that is, allows you to be able to give that focus to that moment, kind of recharge and reset, and then go back in the office refreshed or onto your next appointment refreshed. I think it's just super smart.
Well, I think we all should learn. I mean, I've learned that we need to be aware of our surroundings more these days.
Mhm.
And I think when you're out to lunch, when you look around and you see people buried in their phones, but then no one knows what's going on. I mean, if somebody were to go down and somebody asked, "Did you see that person?" No one saw anything. They're all looking at their phones,
Mhm.
and I think even the person you're with, be engaged. So it's been helpful.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Um, Great. So there's a lot of people right now that are planning for 2023 and assessing where they are and realizing that they kind of have to amp up their activities and things next year. What's someone you've been coaching, you've got a team, what's some tips and things like that you could share with us in regards to productivity, in regards to growing your business and staying motivated?
Well, I think most importantly is, as I have said before, and as I do, you need to have 10 avenues of marketing going on at any given time. And 10's a lot, but you need to have them moving at all and testing them to see if they're effective. And there's tons of choices out there, ones that work for yourself, but don't stop doing that next year. Continue all the avenues, 10, at least 10 that manage well and are getting results. If some aren't getting results, change them out. Secondly, turn off the news, turn off your favorite, news channel. Don't listen to what's going on. It doesn't really matter. Look at the trends of data in areas where you farm, where there's going to be transactions. Think about outside the box stuff, like talking to vendors and attorneys and things like that, where you think that maybe you could get some more referrals. But stop listening to the news. I mean, it won't matter. You know, I saw a video with Warren Buffett the other day, and some wonderful lady started a furniture business in 1928. Couldn't speak English and couldn't read or write, and she sold it to him for millions and millions of dollars. And she grew her business in the worst time in the Depression, and it didn't matter what was going on. And I think that was really powerful for me, because it doesn't matter. There's always business, and your business, you should have an idea of what you need to do for your business when it comes to you. You know, the different types of business, whether it's going to be a lot of short sales or distressed properties or whatever changes there are, you have to change with it. But you don't need to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, the next day, because you can't predict it. So just keep doing what you're doing well. And if you're getting results from the marketing that you're using, keep using them. And if not, ask some people what they're doing and add that to your book. I think that's important, you know, and surround yourself with really good people, and look for a couple people this year. They're way better at what you do than yourself, and professionally and personally, and surround yourself with some really great people this year, you know, and see what happens.
When we surround ourselves with people that are better than us, it pushes ourselves. We get ideas, they hold us accountable. You know, we learn from their, obstacles and things like that they've had in their business. And I think that sometimes it can be so competitive what we're in, that you tend to kind of, shrink back a little bit and be more protective about what you're doing, when in reality, many people are here that are happy to share, to build that relationship. I mean, Jason, you're a really social guy. You've had a lot of people in your sphere and in your world that have helped you. And I think it's important. Yeah.
We bring, I mean, all I can tell you, to answer the other question too, is if you're handling something that's like a transaction or a lead that's larger than you are, something you've never done before, don't be afraid to bring someone in to help you. One of the things that we find across the board, and for 2023, if you want a really good advice for 23, stop coveting your commissions. Stop being greedy with your commissions. Open yourself up to being helped. Because if you can do 3 more transactions by bringing somebody else in to help you, and you have to pay them because they're not going to do this shit for free, right? Then you'll be able to do more transactions and learn something. We find so many people are so eager to like figure out how I'm going to gather all my, as my mother used to say, gather other toys in the sandbox and not share with anybody, right? like share a toy, share a part of your commission, and see somebody rise together. Manny said it best. He's like, bring somebody up with you that's better than you to help you and them make money. People get so focused on one commission and how much am I going to make, and they spend the money before they've done it, and they miss out on 4 transactions that run by them. What they call that, leaning over a dollar to pick up a penny. Absolutely not in 23. Open yourself up to help and outside the box thinking about your commissions. Think about something you didn't do last year, and if you missed out on transactions, I'll tell you that's probably why.
You bring up such a good point. And I definitely think that it's more common in the commercial world to do transactions together, to work things together, to co-list things, I think we almost see it more than residential.
Oh, for sure. I had a conversation last night with an individual, and we were talking about how the transaction is going to be compensated. And our side was a little light. And he said, I'll have my client participate and we'll throw it all in the bunch and then we'll share it. And that's how we work. That's how it gets done. And all of a sudden we're making twice what we were going to make because we're sharing in the process of getting the deal done. Be open to that. That's a huge paradigm shift for most people in this business. And I challenge you to do it and see what it does to your business in 23.
I love that. Jason, we've got a couple minutes left. What other things do you have here for everyone on the call? Things you want to share that might help kick us off?
I will tell you that there's been a lot of talk in KW about all these different communities. and what to join and which one, and they all cost money. I will tell you that it's really important you understand that KW is really trying to provide an environment where you can choose a community for yourself to advertise and use part of that community in your marketing plan. Just choose wisely, one that works for yourself. You don't have to join all of them and go broke doing it. I would tell you that I know that firsthand because KW Commercial International, they're doing some things right now that they're going to bring to our offices. I'm going to bring through my ambassadorship to the offices in our region to really make this an interesting time for a way for all agents to increase their net commissions for 23 through KW Commercial. And look at the communities, because there's going to be one there out there for you. And I think KW is doing a really good job of promoting them. And you don't have to join each one, but take a look and see which one fits for you best, because it's a platform you can use instead of reinventing yourself and working all those hours without getting any traction on your business.
And most of them have education, marketing. Many of them even have leads provided and services and things like that you can get involved with. I know KW Commercial has grown so much even over the last year. Now their new agent was that Nucleus that they're doing, all sorts of value that's being provided and again, you're getting that community, just like Jason shared, you're getting the people that are already using the models and systems that you're trying to implement in your business.
Yeah, and they've already done it. Like you don't have to spend the time doing it. You just add it into your platform for marketing and go about your business, which is, you got to pick the right one for yourself and which one makes sense. And we're always available for questions about that stuff too, because now that have these calls that go on all the time, I'm getting a lot of education myself. So I'm a little bit more informed and I'm always happy to share.
Awesome. I love that, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Just the last note while Jason was talking about the communities. If you're not sure which community to join, which ones are available to you, what kind of value it could bring you as an agent, make sure you reach out to your leadership. We're here to help you. Even someone like Jason, who is an ALC member, again, a part of KW Commercial and has really been involved in our offices, a great resource. Any of the offices that you guys are in, the same thing, find your people, find your place. It's a great little ecosystem that happens around here, and we can help kind of find your home. But again, you guys, Jason DuFault, thank you so much.
Thank you.
With your commercial referrals, and call him if you're interested in getting involved in the commercial aspect and really upping your business. You guys have a great Friday. I appreciate you all being here, and we will talk to you and see you all soon.
Thanks,
Jason. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.